Evaluation of the effect on angiogenesis on the osteogenic potential of temporomandibular joint progenitor cells. Definition: for some years now, clinical medicine and the stream team have been entering a new era in which new therapeutic approaches such as gene therapy, cell therapy, tissue engineering, and regenerative medicines constitute of the most widely used treatments in conservative medicine. Since then, work has been done on the regeneration of tissues through the implantation of stem cells, which, due to their characteristics of self-renewal, proliferation, and differentiation, have proven to be an important alternative for the treatment of pathologies and alterations in teeth, periodontal, and joint structures. The ATM is the structural and functional axis of the stomatognathing system. It is a bilateral joint of the freely mobile diarthrosis type. Angiogenesis, the formation of new blood vessels from pre-existing vessels, is essential for normal development and maintenance of homeostasis.
This is a normal temporomandibular joint. The disc is biconcave and it's located in a superior position. The central thin part of the disc is consistently lying in between the condyle and tubercle. During opening, there is rotation in the lower compartment and more of translation in the upper compartment.
Application in odontology: ultrasound, trigger injection point, cardiac stem cells, radiowave therapy, and has a last choice surgery treatment. Application of moist heat or cold compresses to the affected area.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dustin Lin of Rehab and Revive Physical Therapy. We're excited to help you address your TMJ symptoms and dysfunction. So what is TMJ dysfunction? A lot of times it's uneven pressures that are creating symptoms of clicking, headaches, locked jaw, not being able to open or close your mouth when chewing with the things that you love eating. So what happens here? A lot of times it's created from misalignments in the body, the neck, as well as the skull. Sometimes if you had a concussion or a blow to the head, it can create dents or compressions that need to be addressed. So, and then add on top of that, also, there's some habits that need to be addressed. So what we do here at Rehab and Revive, the great thing is we get to treat the whole body. And so we want to create alignment through the body, not just the jaw and then face. We want to get the rib cage, the neck more stable and aligned. Then we want to start pulling out the pieces and making more space in the skull. And then we can realign the jaw and then teach you the right corrective exercises, as well as the right sleeping habits, sitting habits, and standing habits that will help improve and create longer gains. So we hope you choose us for your TMJ concerns. I'm Dr. Lin. Remember, we heal smarter, not harder.
Pros and cons. Pros: regenerative treatments can be performed. Application to bone marrow bone. There are no surgical treatments. Cons: cancer can grow into the bone. Risky surgery. It can be associated with other diseases. It might have a tumor in the ATM.
The temporomandibular joint, the TMJ, is the joint between the lower jawbone, the mandible, and the temporal bone of the skull. The TMJ is responsible for jaw movement and is the most used joint in the body. The TMJ is essentially the articulation between the condyle of the mandible and the mandibular fossa, a socket in the temporal bone. The unique feature of the TMJ is the articular disc, a flexible and elastic cartilage that serves as a cushion between the two bone surfaces. The disc lacks nerve endings and blood vessels in its center and therefore is insensitive to pain. Anteriorly, it attaches to lateral pterygoid muscle, a muscle of chewing. Posteriorly, it continues as retrodiscal tissue, fully supplied with blood vessels and nerves. The mandible is the only bone that moves when the mouth opens. The first 20 millimeters opening involves only a rotational movement of the condyle within the socket. For the mouth to open wider, the condyle and the disc have to move out of the socket, forward and down the articular eminence, a convex bone surface located anteriorly to the socket. This movement is called translation. The most common disorder of the TMJ is disc displacement, and in most of the cases, the disc is dislocated anteriorly. As the disc moves forward, the retrodiscal tissue is pulled in between the two bones. This can be very painful as this tissue is fully vascular and innervated, unlike the disc. The forward dislocated disc forms an obstacle for the condyle movement when the mouth is opening. In order to fully open the jaw, the condyle has to jump over the back end of the disc and onto its center. This produces a clicking or popping sound. Upon closing, the condyle slides back out of the disc, hence another click or pop. This condition is called disc displacement with reduction. In later stages of disc dislocation, the condyle stays behind the disc all the time, unable to get back onto the disc. The clicking sound disappears, but mouth opening is limited. This is usually the most symptomatic stage. The jaw is said to be locked as it is unable to open wide. At this stage, the condition is called disc displacement without reduction. Fortunately, in majority of the cases, the condition resolves by itself after some time. This is thanks to a process called natural adaptation of the retrodiscal tissue, which after a while becomes scar tissue and can functionally replace the disc. In fact, it becomes so similar to the disc that it is called a pseudodisc.
Let's look at our animation model. We'll call her Sue. As we look inside to see Sue's muscles, bone, and teeth, we see how a healthy bite and jaw joint work together. As the mouth opens, notice how the jaw bone rotates in the joint but stays braced against the skull with the cartilage disc cushioning between the two bones. As Sue closes, notice how the jaw rotates back, staying braced and cushioned at all times until all teeth come into contact at the same time. At the end of the chewing stroke or opening and closing cycle, all the teeth have come together into the bite and the jawbone and disc are braced against the skull. What would it look like if Sue had a bite problem? Her jawbone starts off braced in the joint, but as she closes, her teeth come into contact prematurely in the back so that in order for the rest of her teeth to come together, her jaw has to come out of its socket, down and backward to avoid the early contact, which can be damaging and painful to the teeth. This is why we say that Sue has an unstable joint and is not braced throughout the opening and closing cycle. During the daytime, Sue's brain programs her muscles to make sure
emission uplift in Ecuador. It is unknown in our country how many people there are with this disorder that exists in the ATM and who has undergone the surgery. What assists it is application of stem cells infiltrating the bone so that the cells can regenerate, as well as therapies. It was mentioned in certain articles that in the other countries it is still unknown and only show that they are being observed in laboratories. Stem cells are also used in the regeneration of bone tissues, craniofacial disc structure, cartilage, bone games, cranial sutures, muscular tendons, and it mostly have origin. And in conclusion, temporomandibular disorder are the entity that symptoms of damage all the structures of the ATM, which affect both the young population and the elderly, causing serious discomfort that interferes with the quality of life of each individual. Stem cells are effective and prevent treatment due to their characteristics of cells renewal, differentiation, and proliferation in order to avoid angiogenesis.
Disclaimer alert! Disclaimer alert! Hey everybody, it's Dr. Joe. I got an email from Barry and he was having some TMJ pain. TMJ stands for Temporomandibular joint, which is your jaw joint right there. And I'm going to show you today just some simple stretches and strengthening exercises to get that TMJ feeling better. So we're just going to start off. You want to start off gently with these exercises. You don't want to push very hard because this joint is small and it can get irritated very quickly. The first one you want to do is you're going to use the palm of your hand, so you're not pushing with your fingers, but you're using just the palm. You're going to put your palm on one side, it doesn't matter because we're going to do both, and you're going to keep your mouth and teeth aligned. So the jaw stays in one spot, your teeth stay aligned so they're not going back and forth like that. You're going to keep it nice and still, and you're going to push the palm in that way and just hold it in place. A nice little 5-second push. Good. See how my jaw's actually not moving, but I'm just putting gentle pressure on one side. Then after you do that maybe 3 to 5 times, 5 seconds apiece, then you're going to switch and do the same thing on the other side. So make sure you don't just do one side, not the other side, because you want to keep it even. The next one, really simply, you're going to open your mouth just a little bit and put your fingers inside, but make sure you don't bite your fingers. You're not biting. You're keeping, again, your jaw still and you're pushing pressure down this time. So you're going to put your fingers in your mouth on your bottom teeth and just push down. See, again, my jaw's not moving. I'm not stretching it open. I'm keeping it in one spot. Again, just start off with about 5 seconds of gentle pushing and do that about 5 times. The last one is to stretch out the joint back here. You're going to put your palm on your chin and just push straight back. Again, you want to make sure that your teeth are in alignment. If your teeth are over here and you're moving it, you're going to irritate that joint. So just palm on the chin and relax your jaw and push straight back. So those are the exercises to strengthen and stretch out your TMJ joint if you're having some pain in your jaw. Just start off with about 5 seconds and then build your way up, but make sure you're not pushing too hard. These are gentle stretches for that small joint in your jaw. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. And if you'd like to check out some more videos, go to AskDrJoe.com. Be safe, have fun,